I rebuilt all of Minecraft's bosses in creative. Frankly, I think the current boss designs are okay, but I believe we can make them even better. In this video, I'll be creating an epic battle scene featuring all of Minecraft's bosses in one intense fight. But first, we need a main character, and of course, that's gonna be Steve. Steve will be in the center of it all, facing off against every boss. I'm going for an almost defeated kneeling soldier look with his sword planted into the ground, a key detail that will make more sense later. To prepare him for battle, I'll equip him with a netherite sword and some netherite armor, both with that distinct purple-gray hue. Now that Steve is ready, let's start with our first boss, the Wither. Looking at the Wither's model, we see it primarily consists of a ribcage and 3 skulls of different sizes. So I begin by constructing the spine, building a single vertebrae, and then copying it and rotating it along a path I made using axiom. From there, I use the path tool again to create the ribcage's general shape. Next up, I move on to the heads, building the top part of the skull and jaw separately in different colors so I can control their pose later. I position the middle head first, then I scale down and rotate the 2 smaller heads before pasting them in. For the final touch, I rotate the jaw of the middle head to give it an open mouth and then smooth out the imperfections. With the structure complete, I begin texturing. For the Wither, I copied one of the skulls, I then downscaled it, and I added the signature white stripes to match its projectile heads. I also included some of the particle effects behind the shooting skulls. And that's the Wither done. Really happy with the result. Next up, the Warden. The latest boss that has been added to Minecraft. The Warden was tricky because there weren't many direct real-world references, but after studying its in-game appearance and lore, I decided to base its body shape on a Yeti. I used the spike brush tool to add the signature bone-like protrusions on its upper arms. And since the Warden is infused with souls, I also built small ghosts out of soulfire to give it that eerie glowing effect. And finally, once I had the body shaped, I textured everything. And with that, the Warden was complete. I'll be adding its attack effects later on in the video. Now for one of the simpler bosses, the Elder Guardian is pretty much a giant pufferfish with one eye. So building it was pretty straightforward. I used the spike brush tool again to create the spines. and I added 2 small fins on either side to make it look a bit less empty. And after detailing and texturing it, I was surprised by how much I like this one. And finally, we have the Ender Dragon, Minecraft's final boss. Surprisingly, this was one of the easiest ones to plan out since there are plenty of dragon references available. For the wings, I used the loft selection, which worked so well that I just mirrored it to the other side. And texturing was pretty simple. The Ender Dragon is mostly dark, so I kept it pretty minimal. And again, I'll be adding its effects later on in the video. But first, I wanted to add some damage and wear to the battlefield to reflect the powerful attacks of these mobs. For the Elder Guardian, my main idea was to have it bursting out of the ground from an underground water pool. I used the Arc Veroni noise pattern to split the terrain into small chunks, which I then individually rotated, and then I used the shatter brush to add cracks before carving out the water area. The Warden has its distinct sonic boom attack, so I added some indents into the floor simulating the shockwaves coming out of the Warden. And finally, for the Ender Dragon, I engraved some massive footprints into the stone, and I added some cracks and general wear around them. For the boss attacks, I'll be first working on the Warden. I used differently sized glass circles to create the in-game sonic boom attack. For the Elder Guardian, I built a wave pattern, which I then stacked and rotated around 4 times to create a cool layered look. This will be simulating the laser beam attack the Elder Guardian uses. And for the dragon, I used the spike tool in a swirling motion to make its iconic dragon's breath, giving it a thick, foggy appearance. The way I did this was by binding position 2 to my sword, and then I would move in a swirly fashion and right-click over and over to create those swirly cloud shapes. Now you might be wondering, how is Steve surviving an attack from every boss at once? Well, he's not. That's why the final touch was adding the Totem of Undying. I envisioned this scene as Steve being revived and protected by the totem, so I built a magical shield around him, blocking all the attacks from each boss. With that, the battlefield was almost complete, but I still had to add a few last details. The water for the Elder Guardian, made with the Axiom Weld tool and some Perlin spike commands. some last-minute texturing and environmental details, and finally, I experimented with different glass colors, candles, cobwebs, and flowers to achieve the perfect water look. And that was it, the ultimate Minecraft boss battle scene. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the process, consider supporting me on Patreon or my website, where you can get access to this build and many more of my other builds. Also, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more builds in the future. And until next time, peace.